Hi everybody, this is Karen Barnett and I am recording a series of videos especially for you, my newsletter subscribers, as we wait and count down the last few months before my next novel arrives on bookshelves, called When Stone Wings Fly, a Smoky Mountains novel. And I thought I would give you just some sneak peeks at the thought process of writing this book and why I made some of the choices that I did. And you'll kind of get, there will be no spoilers, but it will just be some things to look for when you are reading through that book when it comes out on June 14th. So it is coming up. First off, when you first saw this cover, one of the first things that might have jumped out at you is this adorable little chickadee right in the middle of the cover. I was really pleased with the design that Kriegel Publications picked out for this book cover. I think it is just absolutely gorgeous. I'm so happy with it. And I'm pleased that there's a bird on the cover and that the wings made it into the title, because birds just play an important part in this story. And part of it is symbolism that you will have to read through the book to fully understand. But beyond the symbolism, the birds are right up front in the story too. I am a huge lover of birds. I love to see them in my backyard. We have a feeder and we get a lot of birds through our neighborhood here. And I live in Oregon, by the way, not in the Great Smokies. But I love to see birds when I travel, and it's just something I've always been interested in. So when I was getting ready to write When Stone Wings Fly, before it even had that title, I was thinking about having one of my characters be a wildlife biologist, because I've always, when I was little, I used to think about how cool it would be to study wildlife, to study animals. And so, you know, when I'm writing a character, a lot of times I will give them a career that is something that I would love to do, but have never been able to. And so I have had artists and nurses and all kinds of doctors, all kinds of different careers that my characters have done that I don't do, but it's my way of exploring them. So I thought wildlife biologists would be fun. But when I was doing my research into the Smokies, I stumbled over a little tidbit in the historical record saying that they weren't, when the park was established in the 1930s, they weren't sure that there were screech owls in the Great Smokies, because they hadn't actually recorded them on any of their bird lists yet. They hadn't been verified by a scientific source. And so when the park was getting established, they brought biologists and ornithologists out and botanists, and they were getting lists of all the different things that they could find in the park so that they could kind of keep a record of that. So I thought, you know, rather than the wildlife biologist, maybe I will have my main character, my hero of the historical storyline of this book, be an ornithologist. And maybe he's especially interested in screech owls, and he can be the one that sort of discovers them. Obviously, the people that lived there and the people who had lived there before already knew that screech owls existed. But, you know, as an ornithologist, he would be excited to be the one to put it into the historical record that, yes, they do live there, and they nest there, and they breed there. So that was my decision when I was creating the character of Benton Fuller, who is my historical hero, was that he was going to be an ornithologist. And I have him coming in from Cornell University, and then he comes into the park to do this, to create these bird lists, a bird census for the park. And he actually then meets Rosie, who is a landowner there in the Great Smoky Mountains. And this is the time when the park was first getting established. So they were still in the process of purchasing the land or taking the land from all of the homeowners, all the private property owners in that area. So there was a lot of conflict going on between the government. It was actually the states of Tennessee and North Carolina were purchasing the land and then donating it to the federal government to create the national park. As you can imagine, the people that lived there already were not so interested in selling off their land to the federal government. So that is some of the conflict that goes into the story as well. So there are birds throughout the story because of Benton's interests. He's studying the screech owls, but he's also aware of all the birds that he is seeing as he travels through the park. Many of the other characters also notice birds and are fascinated by birds. So I brought this little guy. You may have seen him on my Instagram feed. I took a picture of him. So I've been collecting little things that I'm going to put together into a sort of a raffle basket, and right around the time of the book release, we're going to give it away. So this is like the first thing I have purchased for that, and I'll show you some of the other things in the other videos as we go along. But this is a little chickadee, which matches the chickadee on the cover of When Stone Wings Fly. Chickadees show up a couple of times in the story. And what I love about this one is it's made by Audubon, and when you squeeze them, they make the bird calls. You can find these at like Hallmark stores. I found this at our local Christian supply store, which is also a Hallmark Gold Crown store. So I just thought that was fun. He's adorable, and he makes the accurate sound of what a chickadee sounds like. So he will be going in our gift basket. Now, I want to encourage you to, if you are interested in reading When Stone Wings Fly, when it comes out on June 14th, you go ahead and pre-order. I know authors are always making a big deal about pre-orders. It is important to the publishers, it's important to the authors. It's also important to the bookstores, so they know how many to order ahead of time in order to meet demand. Now, I think this year, and I'm going to say this several times between now and release day, this year is going to be even more important because of the dreaded supply chain issues are already hitting publishing. And there are paper shortages, and it's getting difficult to get books into the bookstores in the timely manner that we're all accustomed to. So if you want to make sure that your copy is reserved and ready to go, then I would encourage you to pre-order. You can do that, of course, through the big sites like Amazon and Barnes & Noble and christianbook.com, but you can also probably do it through your own local Christian bookstores or any kind of brick and mortar bookstore. All you need to do is go up to the desk and ask them. Probably not all of them have this capability, but I imagine a lot of them do if you request it. So go and talk to your bookstores. If you're interested in a signed copy of the book when it comes out, my local store is going to be doing pre-orders for signed copies, and I will head over there and sign them right before they get shipped out to you. So if you want to contact my store, it's called Willamette Valley Christian Supply, and I will put the number below, and you can contact them, and it's just a couple extra dollars for shipping. It's actually pretty minimal cost on the shipping. So that is one way you can make sure your copy is reserved for you and ready to head out on June 14th, or maybe slightly before if we can do it. So this is my first installment. I'm going to be doing, I'm trying to think of how many months we have. So this is February, March, April, May, June. So 3 or 4 more videos. And tell me what kinds of things you like to see. What do you like to know about a book before you read it? Is there any behind the scenes info, questions you would have for me? I would be curious to see what you would like me to talk about if you have any suggestions. Anyway, good to see you, and happy Valentine's Day.